afternoon, wherever you might be watching us now from Call with TV. We welcome you with great excitement for today's political discourse. Trust you're getting on well. Judgment Day for Tinubu and APC is very fast approaching, and this is quite interesting because uh, they said those who go to equity must go with clean hands. Tinubu's administration has brought untold hardship, pains, agonies on the life of Nigerians. Just as he maintained that he's going to step in the shoe of a man who was rejected by all Nigerians, Buhari himself. The 8 years of Buhari's administration was a turmoil, was a thorn in the flesh of Nigerians. Nigerians gasped for air. Nigerians was struggling to survive under the watch of Buhari. Of course, they were expecting and hoping there could be a replacement of this pains and agony forced on them deliberately. There was too much corruption, endemic corruption, in the course of fighting corruption. Unfortunately, corruption infested the government of Buhari and begin to ooze out corruption. In fact, virtually everything about the administration of Buhari was defined and embedded in corruption, where you see favoritism and ethnic sentiments and religious bigotry playing out. Unfortunately, for Nigerians, they believe they could have a breath in of new air, but unfortunately, they ended up sinking more abysmally under the watch of Ahmed Bola Tinubu. It becomes very clear and unmistaken terms that Tinubu's administration is worst compared to the 8 years of Buhari's administration. And this is where we are today. And there have been several moves, lobbying, engagements, consultations made by the government of Ahmed Bola Tinubu to assuage uh, the anger of the youths and, of course, everyone who was found within this country who unfortunately become victim of this cruelty. That it appears that whatever effort made is not yielding any fruit, just as the organizers and the IGP Ebwetokun disagree on confined protests. So the government's security operatives or instruments of the state indirectly using the instrumentality of the judiciary or the judiciary to usurp the fundamental right of the people to protest. The court cannot be contradicting itself, just as we saw here. Court restricts protests in Lagos to Freedom Peace Park. What do you mean? That people who should protest, so everybody who wants to partake in that protest must be conveyed in a particular point. It is not done anywhere. It is an infringement of the right, the fundamental right of the people to protest. And as such, under any disguise, should they be confined or such liberty or rights be usurped indirectly by the government. People should be allowed. You mean somebody who happens to be in Lekki or Aja should come to Freedom Park, you see, where there will be no available shuttles. Everybody will be, there will be total disruption of the economic activities. And you expect people to convert the entire negotiations to convert numbering over not less than by the estimation or projection 20 million people, or let's say by average, if let's say less than 25 million people, or 25% of that want to participate in the protest, it means more than 5 million people will converge at two locations. That is not done. So, what could be the fears? You see, these judiciaries, Nigerians are fed up with these kangaroo rulings, injunctions being given by the judiciary. We have understood, of course, Nigerians have no confidence in the judicial process. So, whatever kangaroo statement perhaps are coming from the judiciary or whatever is being called might not possibly be adhered to at this time because it is needless. And unfortunately, that could not be acceptable, just as the protesters, organizers of this protest, are the entire population of human race that felt threatened under the watch of Tinubu's government. So these are the organizers, people who go to market and buy a you can understand the process now that people who can't afford to buy a bag of rice for the cycle of 30 days, working out their life, you see, not even afford common uh, sustenance for their family are the organizers of this protest. People who bought car to their places of endeavors and unfortunately have nothing left for them. They struggle to survive. In fact, over 50 70% of whatever they receive. Sometimes it's not even enough to take them to the workplace, let alone surviving on that. So these are the organizers of this protest, and it assumes humans' faceless dimension, and those who had been greatly impacted negatively by this uh, anti-people's policy and misgovernance on the part of the Tinubu and APC administration. So it's a judgment day for them. They understood that they knew very well that things will not remain the same. And eventually wants to control, or if by any means possible, control whatever that might be the outcome of this uh, process. But whatever be the case, is it the right of the people to protest, regardless of wherever they are? Yes, it's the right, and should not be confined, of course, at a particular point. Freedom Park, when there is no freedom. Peace Park, where there is no peace. What an irony. So you have Freedom Park, you have Peace Park, but we Nigerians are deluded, of course, are working in this delusion. They don't have peace. And there is no freedom. If there is freedom, what does that entail to have freedom? Where the majority uh, of the citizens are not free, don't have the liberty, they don't have that uh, independence, of course, could no longer feed or fend for themselves, let alone their families and dependents. What kind of freedom is that? What kind of freedom park is that? Freedom park where the people under the chains of the oppressors, under the chains and shackles of oppression. You can't have such peace. That's nothing like freedom park. It's just a mere nomenclature, of course, given. Peace park. Where is that peace in Nigeria and across the regions of this country? Have Nigeria ever experienced peace? Let alone talking of peace park. It is quite strange. Millions of Nigerians don't understand what the word peace implies, let alone having a park named after peace. The killings here and there, the massacres of the people, the economic somersault has not even given the people opportunity, let alone to begin to talk about this. Their daily lives, of course, is is wrapped in pain, in delusion, in frustration, in abject poverty. They don't experience what is peace, and as such, it is quite unfortunate to confine of the people just in these two locations in Lagos. It is a way in a bid to silence the voice of the masses and possibly pick them up uh, from that point. So the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kaide, on Tuesday disagreed with organizers of the planned protest over the nature of the demonstration. It can't, police, what right has the police to disagree with protest? These are protesters. What are they protesting for? What informed their quest or their reason for protest in the first instance? There couldn't have been protests if there are no issues to be addressed, if there are no nagging issues of that national magnitude. This has been there. This reason why they are protesting has been as long as Nigerians existed, unfortunately, has been aggravated. So you can't just uh, be so insensitive not to have understood the plight, the predicament of the masses, what they are confronted with on daily basis. These are, of course, issues of importance that have direct impact on their life and existence to the extent that it is threatening their continued existence as a people, their families who goes to bed, in fact, for the whole day without having a meal, or not just having a meal, but not having any hope of having one, or wherever that we come from. They are just left at the mercy of whatever happens to them. These are people, of course, the reasons why the protest is being staged or organized in the first instance. It is not just about mere political or jamboree. These are meant to address nagging issues, fundamental issues that have been neglected for barely 6 decades from now. Uh, Quite unfortunate. This informed the reason why the Aburi Accord is initiated and an agreement reached was meant to address these nagging issues now, 50 years down the line. The same nagging issues cropped up and is now, uh, of course, eating up the Nigerian people. This issue that is becoming a national dilemma. I mean, a threat to the existence of all within Nigeria, especially Nigerian citizens, would have been addressed far long ago. There wouldn't have been any need for protests in the first instance. If things are working, if Nigerians can afford food on their tables, if they could afford, of course, their basic needs and necessities, which borders on shelter, clothing, and eating, feeding. But this becoming almost impossible for any average Nigerian to meet up or to cope with. In fact, it is needless to say, we have communities who have fled their ancestral homes. Communities, just for instance, I made a little travel trip down to the east. I saw some northern families in my own community, down in my community, not just in the down in the village. They reside in the hundreds. I begin to ask, what could this mean? They said that these are people from Plateau who were displaced, their houses were burnt down, their source of livelihood was destroyed entirely. In fact, they happen to be one of those, of course, survival of the brutality, the cruelty going on. The community has been taken over by the Fulani militias or marauders, whose primary mission and objective was to kill, to dislodge the indigenous persons, and of course, they occupied their communities. They fled their homes because there was none to help them. Even the security operatives are not there to defend them, just as they have been accused of being complicit or aiding such cruelty and refusing to address uh, this insecurity, nagging uh, insecurity, which has become a national embarrassment and, of course, has resulted to several loss of lives and casualties. People's farmlands, people's properties, people's have earned resources and establishments has been destroyed by this single act. So where is that peace park? In the absence of peace, you're having peace park. What does that remind us? It reminds us the brutal Nigeria could have believed to have won this war, but eventually that is not the case. They lost the peace, not just in the east, not just in the west, but the entire region of this country has never experienced peace even after the civil war. It is quite unfortunate and very disturbing indeed. Whatever be the case, we can now understand the reason why the people said, well, we at this time will not back down. We are not backing down. It's a judgment day for Tinubu and APC. Of course, whatever they see, they have to take it as a fate because this is not a matter of, in fact, for everything there is an expiry date. The expiry date for people continuous subjugation is here. The expiry dates of loading over to the people is very much here. You can see the courage, the tenacity, the 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 anger, the burning anger in the heart of Nigerians all over the country. And I consider this a judgment day for Tinubu. And eventually, you see, you will always have your time, or you may have your way most of the time, but not all the time. So Nigerians are telling him to his face, yes, you may have had your way some of the times. You may have the way in the elections. You may have had your way, of course, bribing the judiciaries as a willing tool of oppression against the population of this country. You may have had your way in buying the electoral empire or whatever that may be, or having them under your control, but you may not have your way, of course, gagging or hampering or confining the people from expressing their liberty or their grievances through protest. But what I should expect the president and his security operative to do, to know, understand, and appreciate, of course, the enormity of this clarion call for Nigerians who said they have made up their mind. So it is needless trying to usurp the right of the people with the instrumentality of the judiciary, which has become one of the failed systems in Nigeria. People has no confidence in the electoral process, judicial process, which happens to be, or perhaps perceived to be, the last hope of the common man. But that's the common man has no hope in Nigeria. The only hope they have is to protest. The only hope they have is to push back when, of course, the judiciary has failed them. And this judiciary could not be used as an instrument of oppression to even stop the people from crying. You can't beat a child and expect him not to cry. So, what should the government do at this particular time? They are faced with this dilemma. They are trapped, of course, and perhaps run out of idea. What they bargain for is bigger than what they are seeing. Well, the two parties in a virtual meeting discussed both the role of the protesters and the security agencies in ensuring the safety and security of the protesters and the nation's critical infrastructure during the protest. You understand what that means? It is all over the world over. Whenever the citizens are aggrieved or offended, have they felt that governments have robbed them, have deprived them the rights to good life, basic amenities, they might express their anger and dissatisfaction by, of course, uh, attacking some national infrastructures as a way of saying we are not happy with this development. But we hope that that will not escalate. But from the informations and, of course, previous experience have shown that sometimes Nigerian security operatives don't know how to compare, don't know how to organize themselves in the most professional manner. And eventually, you will see they will lead that anarchy. The breakdown of law, the people's rights should be protected, and their lives should also be protected against any sort of violation, as the case is. Kindly hit the like button so as you join us in this political review or analysis this morning. I welcome you once again as in France and viewers the world over. This is called Wave TV. I remain Chigos and Debo, the host anchor, bringing your way the umpire's reportage of events. Keeping it real has been a commitment. Yes, today we are coming up with a very topical issues of concern. Today being the 30th, the 31st of July. Of course, for just a countdown to the gearing up of the national mass protest slated for the 1st of August, being tomorrow. And it's been considered or perceived to be a judgment day for the incumbent President Ahmed Bola Tinubu and his party APC. The Nigerians will demonstrate and express their dissatisfaction or perhaps vote of no confidence in this administration due to maladministration, anti-people's policies, and the hardship that have taken unusual dimensions that to the extent that Nigerians couples are now selling their children just to raise funds to exit to Japa. You know what that means? They're not just, I mean, that is the worst demeaning, the worst humiliation, of course, human can be subjected to. You are selling your son because your children, because you want to raise funds so that you can escape, you can run away. Oh my God, that is the highest. In fact, this is unheard of. What else has not happened in Nigeria? People sell their children to eat. We've had it to raise funds just to eat. It's just like eating their children, just like the biblical references or stories where the time came the Israelites begin to eat their children. When you sell off your child just for monetary incentive, you have given up that child. You have eaten up that child. Something is happening today in Nigeria. It is quite unfortunate and very ridiculous. Honestly, who has befooled us? Who has forced this agony on us? Meeting, of course, convened by the IGP in response to the letter by the Take It Back movement. You see, this is Take It Back movement, and that word "take it back" comes with force, comes with that political awareness or consciousness that they perhaps have been robbed, denied of their rights, and eventually, of course, will no longer hold back, but to take its movement, take it back. it back means by all means. It's a judgment day. Yes, Tinubu during the campaign said that you can snatch it, you can steal it, you can snatch it, you can run with it. But the people are saying now that thing you stole, you ran away with, now take it back. Movement. This is the movement of take it back. We are taking it back no matter where you have run with it, no matter how long you have run with it, that the people said they are taking it back from you. Well, this had okay, Ebu Olu Adeboruwa, okay, in attendance with the 16 participants, including Femi Falana, the son, and of course, a lawyer and human rights activist in Ibehi, Ifyong, and some other civil society leaders and activists were present, of course, in that meeting. At the meeting, the IGP emphasized the importance of maintaining public order and safety during the planned protest, while it threatened the police force duty to facilitate such rights within the bounds of the law. Well, that is a statement. But how committed is the police and the IGP are to ensuring that the safety of the protesters are guaranteed and the mobs are not, of course, deployed or contracted to disrupt the peaceful demonstration by these innocent protesters who are only calling the attention of the government on what is needful and what needed to be done, of course, and to review and withdraws most of its policies that have brought so much pain, agony, loss of jobs, and of course lives to so many families or households within the Nigerian state. And people are finding it not just extremely difficult, almost impossible to survive, to cope with these realities, economic realities today. And to this end, some have resort to taking their lives. You can imagine taking their lives and taking snipers and whatever that committing suicide. That just is just the statement or the words that best describe such actions. It is no longer an issue of suffering and smiling. Nigerians were known or perceived or seem to be suffering and smiling, having as such uh, patient tolerance or limit patient limit tolerance. But this, as far as speeded, its patient limit has been overstretched to the yielding point, what we call the breaking point, which culminated on this mass limit protest. It's just less than 24 hours from today. Uh, from now, we will get to know what is the fate of Tinubu. With the movement of Take It Back be actualized, how could it be done without any um, violation of perhaps we don't know how the organizers want to take it back. Only time will reveal what they mean and how they intend to achieve that. Would that topple the administration of Ahmed Bola Tinubu? Only time will tell. And how would they intend to take what they believe was stolen from them by the Tinubu's and APC's party? But nobody knows what that could mean. But sometimes times answer all questions. They are well defined in time. Now, police commissioner coordinates and plan the protest in a manner to ensure safety of participants and the general public while preempting any security challenges and, of course, ensuring that the protesters proceed peacefully. Well, additionally, the IGP strongly advised against unplanned, open, and unnecessary procession due to the potential dangers they pose. He stressed that organizing and coordinating with the police and other security agencies are essential steps, of course, to mitigate risk, protect the rights of all citizens, and, of course, protect the well-being of all involved. Well, these are statements. Whatever might be the case, we are waiting patiently as we just a matter of hours now. Uh, the judgment day will begin. Nobody knows at the end, but we all know that is commencing, is kicking off tomorrow, being the 1st of August, and only time will define, of course, how far this could go, whether the intentions or purpose for this protest will be addressed or achieved. Only time will define, and how committed and determined the people are. Could it be just like other protests that was along the line was bought, the organizers were bought over and eventually backed down, or could it be a statement of fact, or perhaps a rejection of the Ahmed Bola Tinubu's dispensation? As some have feared that this could mean uh, an end to the administration of APC and that of Tinubu. Well, we don't uh, don't want to live in that realm of speculations, but the people are protesting against misgovernance and bad governance. And the case is just as in Ibehe Ifyong, in a post shared via his space handle, said, when I was invited to speak, I asked the IGP specifically if he was aware of the trending videos in circulation showing some thugs in Lagos threatening to unleash violence on protesters and warning people not to join the protest. Can you see this now? The cabals, the politicians are making plan Bs. How do we scuttle? How do we disrupt this protest in the first instance? You see videos, viral videos on the social medias, some talks threatening violence on the innocent protesters, the citizens of Nigeria who may want to troop out to the street, who is already is setting a respite for crisis already. And such questions could not be answered by IGP if in a sense society and where we have responsible and uh, responsible security operatives, they would have picked those people who are making such threats. It's a threat to life already. People has been threatened that if you come out, you will see whatever you see, you take. It does not happen. You are building, of course, a Hiroshima, something that you could not control because if eventually any one innocent person is killed, the masses will not spare, not even the politicians or the talks that was hired. You see, circulation, okay, showing some talks in Lagos threatening to unleash violence against the innocent protesters. And you can understand what is happening. We are in the state of uh, unpredictable and unprecedented possibilities. Kindly hit the like buttons. Yes, as you join us, hit the like buttons. Wherever you might be watching us, part of the rule of engagement uh, is to hit the like button, share this video, let it go viral, share it in any platform where you belong. We are discussing issue of importance and of course cannot be waved off. The gravity of this will of course not be ignored, just as some do, but the reality is that for in every there are times and seasons, and this is just the season of liberation. People has grown so wide to contain such level of intimidation, harassment, suppressions have been meted on them. They have been so tolerant and very patient with the administration, giving and every the benefit of doubt for this administration to have find its feet or track on the path of economic revival. 1 year was enough to have registered their economic blueprints to the masses of this country to understand what they really meant or what they intend to achieve in the coming years. But unfortunately, they have failed the litmus test, and of course, people agree to the point that even the government came to tell us that they have run out of idea. They have nothing to do. That they are not magicians. They can't protect or guarantee the safety of Nigerian citizens, regardless of wherever you reside, within the same Nigerian territorial integrity, which means the territorial integrity of Nigerian state has been widely compromised and leading to the fact that Nigerians are being killed, citizens, indigenous persons are being killed at will, reportedly killed by beggars. And yet the government and the security operatives could not take responsibility or even martial out ways to protect it for the occurrence. It's quite unfortunate. These are many reasons why people say, no, we must take it back. But in taking it back, of course, that will be met with swift oppositions, just as some talks within Lagos have threatened to unleash mayhem on the innocent protesters should they dare, of course, to come up. This is not just a mere threat. It's just not a mere threat, but it's a promise. We have seen that in the very recent past, of during the answers, we have seen that during the election of the 2023, and we also saw that happening. So there are those who are mischief makers, those within the corridor of power, those politicians who believe, who they understood that they are taking undue or getting undue advantage of the masses, and as such, we want to continue to perpetuate themselves within the corridor of powers, even when, of course, their presence is not needed, their service is absent. I mean, the impact is not felt by the masses. They use the common resources of the masses, belonging to the masses, to sponsor violence against the same people that gave them such privileged opportunities to occupy such a seat of power. This is just what is possible within Nigeria, but it's quite unfortunate and very disturbing indeed that uh, such persons might think they always have their way. Of course, they have the resources, they have the political connections, and of course, they have the money to buy or procure arms and equip those guys to unleash and scuttle the, or disrupt the peaceful conduct of the protest, even in the presence of the security operatives. This is just possible in Nigeria, where a common tout or abo, somebody collecting money in the park, collecting money from these commuters, as those shuttling, the tricyclists, will beat up policeman and threaten to remove his clothes and dismiss him. You can imagine, you begin to ask what kind of power do these people have? What kind of audacity to challenge somebody in Nigerian uniform, an identity of nationality? You see, the police, of course, have been so much, even the Abros are more powerful. They are more widely connected than the police. Starting to, they beat up the policeman, in fact, injured him. I believe the class is this for real? Is this for real? So it's quite unfortunate. I also asked him if he would direct the Lagos State Commissioner of Police to arrest the said thugs to serve as a deterrent, of course, to those who are planning to cause unrest. The IGP sadly did not address this particular question, despite the fact that he was not reminded Okay, despite the fact that he was reminded of my question by other participants, you don't see him because his own job is on the line. Whether you call it IGP or not, somebody puts him there. And the thoughts are highly connected to the person that put him there. So you dare not step on their toes. That's why he could not address it. So, what needless arguments is the police having with the so-called protesters organizers? If you can address this problem, you know the people, you know where they are. Just as the governorship election in Lagos, where the Igbos, they said they will show Igbo pepper. The Igbos will be marginalized and suppressed. No Igbos will come out. They saw the video and what the IG people said. These are men. They are just uh, they are just cracking joke. And eventually that happened. It wasn't a crack of joke. Some persons were beaten and even killed, injured, because they came out to exercise their liberty and the choice of who they may want to, of course, vote for. She's saying it's just a joke. The people are joking. The same joke is happening now. And some are keeping moods. The IGP who should have switched into actions and to arrest those people and to serve as a deterrent to anyone who might want to sponsor violence. You see, the foundation for the violence has been already laid. So you don't expect anything different. What you expect could be more bloody than ever imagined. Because if people begin to threaten, and you see the instrument of the state that should have gone against those people, and no, you are trying to make things more difficult for us. Let it not be that we are indirectly supporting you. Go and pick them up. Query, of course, the whatever audacity they have to declare or to threaten the Nigerian masses. But the IGP cannot do it now. What they will do now is to begin to arrest innocent people who are innocent of whatever. Perhaps it's quite unfortunate. Quite unfortunate. So if the police, IGP, Inspector General of Police cannot address two important questions that was thrown to him, which is of great concern. You've seen people threaten just the way they did during the election, general elections, and of course it was ignored, not just because it was ignored, because of the fact of that those people are highly wired personalities, of course, very close to the seat of powers. Even the IGP's job is being threatened. They can sack him. They can remove his clothes. So this is the kind of country you find yourself, or you call one Nigeria, where not state as Abu, as you may call them, are more powerful, of course, than the instruments of the state. This made me to ask the IGP directly if the police will disrupt any protest that is held outside the locations that have been communicated to him. Given his advice, the protesters should not embark on marches or rallies, but should be restricted to identified venue. How dare you? How can that happen? You see, that the protests, the people should not be allowed to march and or hold rallies. I don't understand. Well, the IGP responded to me that there is no plan to disrupt rallies on the roads or any protest held outside the designated venues. There is no plan. But you fail to plan to arrest those who have threatened the peace and, of course, the uh, peaceful conduct of this slated mass protest. Now, what does that mean? That is consent. And if anyone is injured, and if those people who threaten to disrupt the peace of the protesters eventually uh, injure the protesters, the police IGP must be held responsible and the Tinubu's administration, because you should have acted proactively They have acted in advance and a way to discourage those people planning for violence or to unleash violence on the masses or defenseless population who may want to go out to protest this unfortunate uh, government. However, he further indicated that the police cannot guarantee the security of protesters who are not confined to the locations that have been communicated to him or the CPO. Okay, you see what I said? You cannot guarantee. If you cannot guarantee, what does that mean? That is a foreseeable breakdown of law and order. You cannot guarantee. You have not guaranteed any either. Not not any part of this country is safe under your watch as IGP, and you are not telling any different story. We understood, of course, that you are not everywhere. You can't be magicians, and as such, Nigerians will be killed, and whatever happens, it is their own business. You cannot guarantee anybody outside the two places you combine. What does that mean? Now, we are giving a leverage to those hoodlums, to those thugs who have already threatened the people that they could do whatever they want to do. We are not there. We can't cover them. Even when they are abusing or assaulting them in the presence of security authorities, they are helpless. So these people are more powerful than even the IGP. But so nothing can happen to them. Just as nothing happened to those people who threatened and beat up just Nigerian voters who went to express the fundamental rights to vote. They were hampered and some unfortunately came back with much bruises. And if, for those who survived that, it's quite unfortunate. But that is the truth. It has made it very clear that nobody can be protected. No security of the protesters could be guaranteed anywhere. So what does that mean? A respite for crisis, which means there will be a bloody revolution that might with this movement. But we don't pray for that. But not just about praying. The police that saddled with the responsibility of protecting life and property of the citizens and maintaining internal security have told you that they are not there for you. So you're on your own. Okay, my final contribution was to remind the IGP to be mindful of the fact that there have been IGPs before him, and he should be thinking about legacy and his place of his in history. Or who cares? Who cares about history? Even when it's no longer in the Nigerian school curriculum. They don't care about history. That he should be thinking about the legacy. Which legacy? Thinking about legacy. What will legacy bring to their table? Will legacy put money in their bags, in their pockets? Forget about legacy, chemical legacy, legacy name, legacy call. Nobody cares about legacy in Nigeria. The politics don't care about that. What they are interested in, their vested interest. Because the interest is protected and lies much more money in their pocket. Anything can happen. They don't care. Quite unfortunate. And this, if this protest is peaceful, history will remember him for his work. But if not, anyone is killed by the police, it will also be recorded for him. Well, very unfortunate. That is where we found ourselves under these circumstances, where the IGP inspector of the general police will come categorically to tell you that no citizen's life will be protected. How do you mean? That those except they confined to regions. Why? What if on the path that park? Or will they just fly from air and land in that park? Would they move through the routes? So if you want moving through the route, you can't guarantee their safety or security. They'll be left at the mercy of those crowds, who, of course, as usual, uh, will unleash mayhem, possibly steal people's belongings, their phones and all that, and dislodge or disarm the people from any source of communication. That is quite unfortunate. Consequently, Effiong noted that the IGP had assured the security would be provided to protesters who are gathered at the venue that have been communicated to the IGP. Okay, well, that is just the case here. And it is quite unfortunate and very unfortunate. Never be the case. We hope, of course, to keep abreast with the realities and the polls. This scheduled time is counting down. There's no more going back. This is 31st of July. Wishing you all the best of, of the days ahead. Even in the midst of all these Buddhas, we do pray that Elohim will continue to shield us. Fortunately, whatever happens, we will find the way forward for all Nigerians. This could be the last opportunity to remedy the situation of the house. I prefer saying to hope that there could be true freedom, that the people could enjoy true peace and freedom that comes from liberty and inalienable rights of humans life. And of course, the basic amenities and good governance. Thank you once again for watching. We're coming your way in just 2 hours or minutes from now for more exciting discussion. We're going to discuss an important subject, just as some persons have been shouting that the Igbos must go from Lagos. This is what we're going to discuss in details while we come back in the next edition. That Igbos must go. This renewed hostility, renewed hatred has been rekindled in the midst of this economic crisis and, of course, national uh, destabilization of the security. That the Igbos must go. That Lagos will no longer accommodate the Igbos, starting from the 20th of August to 30th. These are windows where, of course, this is not the first time, not the second time or the third time. So whatever, of course, happens with the history. But we are going to review this in subsequent editions. Make sure you turn on the notification buttons and subscribe to this channel. You can get our videos once it's been uploaded or whenever we are live. It's an interesting subject of discourse, and we do hope you'll be there. Thank you once again. I remain Chilos and the host anchor this morning. Bye for now. Coming your way. That's a matter of months. How long will the Igbos perceived by some gullible, not just all the Yorubas, but those mischief makers who have some ulterior motive for doing whatever they do, or perhaps driven by hatred for the Igbos? So keep in tune, keep watching. Wave TV. Bye for now. We are coming